Hey everyone, I'm going to be practicing watercolor trees today. I'm going to be using my Milang watercolor paints, and I'm going to be using a variety of brushes to see what I can do. And I hope you join me for this practice session on painting trees. The first thing I'm doing is wetting my brush, wetting the paint, and just sort of putting it on my palette here. I hope you can see that. And I'm just going to be practicing a tree. Let's see, I'll start here. And I'm just lightly dabbing and getting wider as I go. Then again, dipping into the paint that I put down. And I'm not really thinking too much. I'm just dabbing, making sure my paint is watered down, and I'm just dabbing. Not too hard to just give the illusion of a tree. I don't want my tree to be too tidy, but it looks a little tidy. That's okay. And one thing we do know is trees are different colors, different shades. So this is a flat looking tree simply because I have the same shade of green. So I'm cleaning my brush and I'm dipping into a darker green. Now I'm just randomly picking any old green. I'm not really too concerned about it. And now I'm gonna just go in again and, whoops. I'm gonna go in again and just try to go over it a bit. Trying to create some depth. Everybody's gonna make a racket while I'm trying to do video, but that's okay. We want the kids to be having fun. Okay. All right, I feel good about that tree. And I'm not done because when I do my trees, I like to add sparkles and different things, but this is just the beginning. Now I'm gonna go in for a brown, like a brownish color. And I wanna go in and I wanna just create the trunk of this tree. And then another thing I like to do too is get a gray color going. So I'm gonna use my black, and then there's white here. I don't always use white, but there we go. I wanna make like a grayish color so I can create like a shadow at the bottom. Uh-oh. When you run into stuff like this, you can lift that paint off. So I'm just like lifting the paint off, and you can see if it's still wet, you can lift it off. So I just lifted it off, and I'm gonna go back in again. I'm just using the same size brush. I'm not even switching my brush size, but I'm going back in again. There we go. I liked the first one better, but this will have to do. The trunk. I like the way that looks. And the next tree I'm going to try is, I'm taking a smaller brush. I don't know if you can see this. I'm taking a smaller brush, and maybe I'll get like a darker green. Let's see. Ooh, this is like a... So I mix all my greens together, add a little water, and now I'm going to try again. And I have seen, people they just try to do more of a, I don't know what kind of tree this is, but I see people just kind of going down. A little bit like this, dabbing it down. I think it gets, like a tree gets thicker the further you go down. I kind of like that I'm pulling in different colors as I go, like just adding different colors. Instead, this one I did one color and then added, but I kind of like just as I go, I'm dipping into different greens, adding some water. And I don't know, I think that's kind of fun. I think I like this tree better. I like that. Now what I'm gonna do is maybe I'll try a different brown, maybe a lighter, like that's really dark, but that's okay. And I think what I'll do now is just do like a longer, and you know what? I learned from this one that I'm gonna wait for that to dry before I add that gray shadow below. I enjoy this tree way better. I don't know about you guys, but this one so far is my favorite. Now I'm gonna slide this over. It's hard for me to see what I'm doing. I'm gonna slide that over, and now I wanna try something different. if you have one of these brushes, these sort of fan brushes, I did this last year, so I'm going to try this this year, the fan brush. So I think I have, what I'm going to do is just get my paint on the palette before I dip the fan brush in. Well, I'm going to have to move this, but I'm grabbing all the greens. It's way more fun. Okay. And now I have seen people use this. And now I'm going to just dip my brush into it. And I'm going to slide this over. And let's see how this works. And I'm making a bit of a mess, but I would usually use this for acrylics, but you can't really go wrong with this brush. I'm dipping it in all the greens. I'm making a mess, and this is how I like to make a mess. So if you watch my videos, I am a mess maker. Oops. Ooh, this is going to be a big one. Okay. Ooh, this is fun. I like this tree. I don't care how messy it is. That looks good. All right. So I've got 3 trees that I did. I'm going to do the trunk on this one. One can only hope. I do want a lighter brown, so I'm going to add a little white to that brown because I just don't like how dark it is. And maybe I'm going to try not to touch. Oh, I did it. One of the things that's a struggle here is if I touch the paint into the wet paint, it bleeds in. You saw that here. I'm waiting for these to dry before I add like some shadow underneath, and waiting for them to dry before I add, well, actually it looks like these ones have kind of dried. So what I want to do now is I want to get a smaller brush here, and I'm going to dip into some red because I want them to be Christmas trees. I'm actually going to put the red balls on the white part because I don't want it to bleed in. And I am playing and having fun. This is not, I cannot say I'm an expert at watercolor, but I certainly have a lot of fun with watercolor and trying to learn watercolor. So I like that. And let's see what we can do with this one. This one seems like it's probably dry enough for me to add some decorations on it. Ooh, I like the way that one looks. I like that. This one's probably still too wet. Now what I'm gonna do is maybe I can add the shadow to the bottom. So I'll try that again. Let's see. I just want to add like a little shadow. One of the things, I've learned as I go is that you want to create some depth and shadow. So that's why I'm adding that white at the bottom, like the grayish tone. And I'm mixing like a black and a white. And I'm sure there's better ways that you can do this, but this is just how I'm doing it. And then I don't want it to bleed, but I also don't want to ruin the paper. I just want to tap it. But again, it's probably too dark. But this is just a practice session for fun. Now, I don't know what you can see. Let me see. Ooh, that looks good. Okay, what I'm gonna do next is get some yellow and add a star to the trees. Any yellow will do. It doesn't matter what kind of yellow you have. We're just playing around. We're just having fun. We're just experimenting. So I'm gonna add this is gonna be the star, okay? It's not gonna look exactly like a star because I'm just creating the illusion of a star. And one of the things I want to kind of do here is the star is kind of glowing. So maybe I'll do like a little circle around them, right? Ooh, I like the way that one looks. It's faded a bit. But I do like a lot of color. Now, one thing, this tree could probably have some darker bits into it. I'm kind of worried that I'm going to ruin it if I do that. However, This is all just for fun. So you kind of have to take risks with your painting, especially if you're practicing. If we're not risking when we play and practice, then we're not going to improve. So I'm taking the risk, and ultimately this is just for fun, and I'm here to make a mess. Once you accept that you're there to make a mess, then you figure out your own style. I really like this brush. I just like the way, like, it doesn't matter what angle, I just like the way it looks. And there's so many different ways to do trees. There's really no wrong answer when it comes to doing the trees, but you literally, you have to get your paintbrushes out, and you have to practice, and you have to be willing to mess it up. I'm going to close this palette now, or just move it aside, because I don't want to go into too much depth, but I definitely want to add some metallic paint that I have. I'm going to grab some of this gold and see what happens. I wonder if I can add some gold to this tree, like around where the lights are shining. There's not a lot of, I'm not adding a lot of water. I want a thicker, like color. I don't know. Does that ruin it? Does it make it better? I don't know. I wonder. Now I'm just sort of playing with these trees. I know this one is still wet. I just don't have time to be drying stuff because the sun's setting, and I can't paint when the sun sets. I've tried all the different kinds of lighting, and I only like natural light when I'm painting. Okay, that's a bit of a mess. I liked the way, I think this one is my favorite. And I'm not done yet, because guess what? I have my sparkles. I don't know if you can see my sparkles. I have this green sparkle, but it dried out before I even opened it, so I have to take it back. But I have two types of sparkles. I have gold and silver sparkles, and I don't believe a painting is finished for me personally until I've added some sparkles. And I know it's not watercolor, but you know, I'm playing and I'm having fun, so to me it doesn't matter. Okay, so I've got my sparkles and I'm digging in there, and I wonder, I think I might add some sparkles to the bottom where the shadows are. Ooh, I like that. I don't know if you could see how well that's going on, but it's nice to add sparkles to, you know, a card that you're giving out during the holiday. Again, it'd probably be better if you waited for your painting to dry before you start adding all these sparkles to it. Here are the final results. I definitely love this glitter glue. It makes everything better, even your bad trees, like this one. I liked this one at the beginning, and then I just didn't wait for it to dry. I don't know, I think the middle one ended up being my favorite, but again, try your trees, see what you can do, have fun, and look, if you make mistakes, it's just a watercolor painting, you're just practicing, and honestly, there's nothing better than a handmade card or a handmade painting, mistakes and all. Thank you guys so much for following along. I hope you have a wonderful day, and happy sketching and painting.